Okay, in this video, we are going to cover how to reconcile and close your batch and how to record attendance for your department at the end of the day. Check with your manager. You might not be the person that does attendance, but if you are, this will cover that process. So we are ready at the end of the day to reconcile and close our batch. So I'm going to go straight to my batch management transactions folder. Now in training, let's all hit the refresh button icon so that we see in the entered amount, the total dollar amount we collected today from patients. In the live system, this is a running total. So as you collect payments, this number will go up. At the end of the day, this is the grand total that you collected. So you're going to take all the money that you collected and you will separate them out. Now, if you go to page 62 in your manual, end of day process is listed here, and it's going to walk you through these steps that we're getting ready to go through. All right, so we see the grand total here that we've collected. We're going to take all the money that we've collected. We're going to separate the cash and put it in one pile. Check or money orders, put it in another pile if you collected any of those. Credit or debit receipts, put them in one pile. You're going to add all your cash up and get your grand total for your cash. If you have any check or money orders, add that total up and get the total for those. And then add all your credit debit receipts up and get your total for that. Once you have your individual totals for the different types of money you collected, you then add that together and get your grand total. Your grand total should match this entered amount right here. Okay. Now for today, it's going to be really easy. We only took one payment, a $20 payment. Okay. Now, when you go to reconcile and close your batch, it is a two-step process. You want to print that report, match your totals before you close your batch. So we've already confirmed that the grand total that we collected matches what we have in our hand. We're going to come down here and click the button that says print and close. When this box opens up, the first thing I want you to do is uncheck the box that says close batch. Never close a batch until you've went through the reconciliation process and made sure everything matches. Okay. All right, right there where it says print batch report, you see report preferences. You're going to have to click that piece of paper icon. It brings up the report preferences on the left-hand side under available group fields, this batch category. We need to move it over to the level of detail. It's the only thing listed there. It's already highlighted. I could click the little arrow in between these two and move it over, or I could have just double clicked on it and it will move it over. So everybody, make sure you move your batch category over to the level of detail. Once you have that, you click OK. It's going to bring you back out here and you're going to click OK. Now it brings up the printer. I would recommend that you preview this. We're going to preview it because we're in training, but in the live system, I would click preview. And it's going to kick us out of our batch management folder and open up the job status window. And then our report is going to populate. Now we only have one payment on here. All right, it brings up your report. You can look at this report. Now on your report, if you've collected different types of money, they're going to be separated out on your report. All of your cash will be in one section each, and you'll see the information that is listed for each payment. The date, self-pay, what type of payment, account, the patient's name, unassigned. All of the payments that we collect in APM go into an unassigned account, because we don't bill out of APM. So a lot of users will call later and say, what's this unassigned mean? It really means nothing for us, okay? And then if you took any check or money orders, you'll have your payments listed here. And then if you took any credit or debit, you'll have those payments listed. And then at the very bottom, you have your batch totals, and this unassigned amount right here is the grand total of your deposit. If all of that matches, I would go right here and print that, because you're going to give this report and all the money that you collected to the person that does your deposit after you've closed your batch. If it doesn't match, go ahead and print it. If you can't figure out why it doesn't match, go to the person that does your deposit and they'll help you figure it out. But the most common reasons why your batch will not reconcile is maybe your cash total is off because you said you took cash, but you selected credit or debit in your category, or vice versa. You said in your reference that you took credit or debit, but down in your transaction category code, you selected cash time service, cash instead. So those two totals will be off. You'll have to go to the person that does your deposit. They'll have to pull up the patient's account that the incorrect information is on, void that payment out. You will have to come back in and retake the payment with the correct information. And then you come back through this process to make sure it's reconciled and matches now. The other thing would be if your dollar amounts don't match. Maybe you forgot to change the dollar amount when you were taking that payment. Again, you'll have to go to the person that does your deposit. They'll void that payment off. You'll have to come in and retake it with the correct dollar amount. But if everything matches and you print that report, you're good to go. You're ready to close your batch. I'm going to hit the X to close that because we don't print anything here in training. Now it's going to bring you back to your job status window. This only opens up when you go to print something like a report or your appointment listing. This report that we just printed is now out here in the database taking up space. You cannot get back into the report from here. If you needed to reprint it, you have to go back through the steps to pull that report up to print it. You want to release this out of the job status window so that it frees up that database and keeps the live system running smoothly. It's not bogged down with a bunch of stuff that doesn't need to be in there. So at the very bottom, you have a button that says release. Make sure you click release. Before you leave this window, make sure everything is released out of there. Now, because it kicked us out of our transactions folder when we click to print or preview, we have to open that back up. But I'm not going to worry about opening it where the job status window stays open, because when I go to print something else, a new job status window is going to open. And I don't need 15 job status windows open. So I'm just going to come over here to the left-hand side under practice management, and I'm going to single left click on the word transactions. And because I single left click, whatever folder I was in, it's going to automatically close that folder and open up this one. Does that make sense? All right, now we're ready to actually close that batch. Everything reconciled. I'm going to come down here and click the print and close button again. Now this time I'm going to uncheck the print batch report because I've already printed it. I'm going to leave my closed batch checked, and I'm going to click OK. And that will close your batch. Your status should now say closed. You're going to take that report, all the money you collected, the cash you collected, the check or money orders, and the credit card receipts. You will take all of that to the person that does your deposit. If you printed the receipts of each individual payment that you took for your reference at the end of the day, and the person that does your deposit does not want those receipts, please shred those. Okay? But that's how you reconcile and close your batch. If you have any issues with that, get with your manager. If they can't help you figure it out, they'll call either me or Carrie or one of the people at KMSF that help us with this. But don't ever close your batch until everything is reconciled, because if you have a batch that's closed, the person that does the end of day process and puts that bank bag together, at the end of what they do, they will come in and update these batches. Once they update these batches, everything gets sent to the bank and then from there to KMSF. If there's an issue in one of those payments in a batch that is updated, you're going to have to contact KMSF. We can't do anything with a payment in an updated batch if there's an issue. Okay, so that's how you do that process. and make sure that anybody in a scheduled or wait or bump status is no longer on the schedule. Something should have happened to that appointment. They either came in and they were acknowledged, should have been acknowledged, or they called ahead of time and canceled their appointment, or they just did not show up. So they're a no-show or a DINKA. So the first thing I want to do is I want to clean this list up a little bit. I want to go up here under my appointment statuses, and under the acknowledge, I'm going to uncheck acknowledged, and it will clean those people off. Once I have it cleaned up, I'm ready to take care of these that are left in a scheduled wait list or bump status. On our screen, we don't see anybody in a status other than scheduled. But this patient, so I'm going to ask the patient, would you like to reschedule? If they tell me yes, but they'll have to call me back, I'm going to go ahead and cancel the appointment off the list. Okay. And then when they call back, we just schedule an appointment from scratch. All right. So I found the patient that's called in that we're going to cancel the appointment on. I'm going to right click and I'm going to select cancel. Now be very aware that when you cancel an appointment, you have to have a cancel reason. You can click the drop down and see the options. I will say that the training database, the options don't exactly match what we have in the live system, but find the option, the reason they're canceling, that's closest on the list. This patient called in. I'm going to go ahead and select patient canceled. So I'm going to type a P there. And I will get patient canceled. Once you have your cancel reason picked, you're going to click OK. And that patient's status has moved to cancel. Now, APM system will refresh every 30 to 45 seconds to 60 seconds, I believe. But I don't need to see that canceled person on my list anymore. It's unchecked here, so within 60 seconds, it's going to disappear off my list. But I want to go ahead and clean it off, so I'm going to hit the refresh button icon, and it's going to remove anybody that's already been canceled. So now I only have the people left on my list that I need to work with. All right, so for this process, it's the end of the day. I've got this patient, Dana Baker, that had a 9 o'clock appointment. It's 5 o'clock. She didn't show up. She didn't call ahead of time to cancel or reschedule. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to select no show. Make sure you're no showing the right patient. So look at that name and then click OK. You'll do the same to all of those. But I'm going to say this patient right here, she called ahead of time and can't come today, but she wants to reschedule. So I'm going to reschedule her appointment. Okay, so this patient has called in and said, I have an appointment. I can't keep that appointment today. You're going to ask them, would you like to reschedule? And they say, yes, I would. So you're going to right click, make sure your patient is selected. You're going to right click, and you've got a bunch of options here that you can do with this appointment. We don't want to schedule a new appointment. She's already got an appointment. We just want to move this appointment because she can't come on this day or time. So I'm going to select move appointment. It's going to bring me over to my patient scheduling tab where you do all of your scheduling anyway. Okay. All of this information will follow you over from that original appointment. You can make changes if you need to. I'm not going to make any changes. Everything is still appropriate for the appointment that I want to move. Now it says we're moving the appointment from today, and it's going to populate today's date in the on or after date. Now, because we're in training, if I leave that, which you typically would in the live system, and just click open times to give them the first available opening, we're going to see today's appointments that are available. So we're going to change this date. Patient can't come tomorrow. They want to know what we have next week. So let's double click on the 29th. So when we click open times, if there are openings for this provider, this department, this location, that appointment type on the 29th, we're going to see that as our first available on open times. If there aren't any openings on the 29th, it will give us the first available day and time that provider has in their schedule. So I'm going to come down and click open times. And we got lucky because of training. We have a lot of openings for our patients. So you're going to ask the patient, okay, morning or afternoon, which would you prefer? Figure out from them, you know, what time they want. They say afternoon, pick an afternoon time that works for them. So click to select the time, click schedule, and then you can say to the patient, okay, I have you scheduled with Dr. Fons on Monday at 1 o'clock. Please arrive 15 minutes early, bring a list of all your medications, and if you have a copay, please be prepared to pay. You could print the appointment reminder, but this appointment is going to be for Monday. I doubt very seriously it's going to get mailed out and sent to them in time, unless they want you to fax it over or something. And then you just click OK, and that appointment has been moved. Okay, so once you've gotten through all the patients, you've either canceled them because they called to cancel, or you moved the appointment because they wanted to reschedule, or you no-showed them. I have one patient left on the list. They did not show up. I'm going to no-show that patient. Then I'm going to hit my refresh. Everybody now should be gone off of this list. That's what your list should look like at the end of the day. And that's how you do your end of day process in APM if you're the one that's responsible for doing that. Okay, the next thing I'm going to walk you through as part of the attendance process at the end of the day is to actually cancel any memo appointments that have been placed on a provider's schedule because they're going to be gone during a time frame. Please make sure that the time frame has expired before you cancel the memo appointment. Once you cancel it, it will open that time frame back up. So if the time hasn't been expired, you take a chance of a patient getting scheduled in there, but that provider's not going to be there. We do not want that to happen. When you cancel a memo appointment, there's only one cancel reason. So you're going to select the memo appointment. All right, so once you have that memo appointment selected, you're going to right click and you're going to come down and select cancel. Again, anytime you cancel an appointment, you have to have a cancel reason. Do not leave this field blank. If you click the drop down, the only choice you will use for the cancel reason on a memo appointment is this hold memo appointment cancel. So you'll select that. Once you have it selected, you will click OK. And that is how you cancel a memo appointment. And that concludes this video.